we want to talk about some information we want to give about the program, and then we'll straight away jump into your questions. But before we get started, let's use the chat and just indicate from which part of the world we are joining from. And if you could tell us the city, even better. Let's see what our audience looks like today. Hyderabad, Bangalore, Tirupati, very good. Kolkata, where else are we joining? Guntur, Gujarat, excellent. We have a few more people. Let's see if somebody else wants to tell us where they're joining us from. MP, very good. Tolani, excellent. Well, at least I can say that all of you are joining us from beautiful places around the world. I think I've gone to all of them except for Nigeria, still on the bucket list, but I'm sure in the next few years that will be taken care of. All right, so what I'll do is I'll straight away jump into our, the first segment, which is just talking about the program, what it is all about, and then just jumping into your questions. So let me share my screen here and we'll get started. All right, I hope you can see my screen. Before we get into why business analytics at UT Dallas, I want to help you understand and maybe help you question why business analytics at all, or why analytics at all. Be it us or be it anybody else, why does the world really care about something like analytics? And there are a lot of reasons why people like analytics. What are some of them? So really, to answer this question, I'll have to take you back a few decades. Let's go to the 70s. Other than great music and great movies, that decade was transformative because that decade gave us personal computing. We had computers in our homes. What runs on computer softwares? Why are softwares created? To manage data. So the underlying need has always been data. In the 70s, it was more about coming up with new tools and techniques, new software that could store the data, process the data, make it available, etc. 80s also went into fine-tuning those softwares. But then 20 years later, the question was that all this data that's collected, what do we do about it? Now that's where the biggest chunk of people thought that there might not be a lot of use, but then there are always the smart ones who are the industry leaders. And they said, no, we've got all this data that we can use to figure out what worked and what did not work. If we are able to figure out cycles, patterns, that will help us forecast our businesses for tomorrow. That's what the benefit is here. So they started diving into that heaps of data to figure out what's going on. And that's how analytics really was, became a branch that was so important to organizations to make good decisions. Slowly and slowly, companies started moving towards database decision making. Because if you want to have a, a, a decision out there for your organization, you don't want to just rely on your hunch when you can look at data and make better decisions. A bad decision can cost you millions of dollars. And that's what companies understood slowly and slowly. But again, whenever there is a new need, companies try to train their employees, they try to do stuff with them so that they learn these new techniques. But the speed at which this need was growing was not the same speed at which the employees were getting trained. They were not skilled in the right way. And that's where industry turned on to only one friend, academia. They said, hey, we need this kind of stuff in your universities. Teach people, teach your students what this is. And that's how the analytics program started. The first one that came out was in the year 2007. So it's not a very old degree major that you see out here, which is good because it is something new, it is something exciting, and it is something which is extremely relevant right now. As we move into the digital age with the ferocious speed which we are moving in, we're already in a digital age, but we are moving towards more and more data. You may have seen, just think about 3 or 4 years ago, how much of data were you consuming, were you reporting, or were you using to make decisions? A lot has changed. Okay, the pandemic kind of pushed the envelope there in terms of our digital needs, and it really, really expanded to levels that we see today are humongous. Now, so we have kind of identified one need, that data is everywhere. But then the other big need is that there is still a dearth of qualified analytics professionals. A lot of times I talk to executives and they say, well, my company has just invested in a data visualization software, and that data visualization software makes me analytics focused. It is not. Analytics is far beyond just data visualization. So that kind of qualification to really work as a solid analytics professional is something that we teach in our program. Anybody who goes out of our program is extremely confident with the different techniques, different frameworks, whatever is needed to do a good job in the field of analytics. The other good thing is it doesn't matter what sector you're talking about, whether it is financial sector, real estate, healthcare, analytics is needed everywhere. What are some of the guiding themes of our program? Very flexible, which means you take your classes in the day, you take it in the night, you take it in the afternoon, you take it all in one day, spread it over the week, you decide which courses to take, because at the end of the day, you are here to upskill yourself and you want to upskill the way you like. You may want to learn data science, somebody else might want to learn in data engineering, somebody else might be interested in operations analytics, somebody else is looking at marketing analytics. All of you have a space here. There's a lot of engagement that happens and is needed, because at the end of the day, if you want to really up your experience in terms of what you got out of the program, that engagement is key. If you're spending an hour in your class, you spend 2 hours outside of it doing stuff which is relevant to what you're learning. And then we're all very focused on outcomes. We want to make sure that everything that we do with you is being done in a way that we don't waste your time and resources, but we give you the best outcomes. If something doesn't work, we try to quickly tweak it so that we know what's working and what's not. Now, we have 10 different tracks, which means that all our electives are put into different containers. And depending on what you need, you take those courses. Now, there are 18 core classes, which every student has to take, but the electives can differ depending on what you want. So half of the program can be designed by you based on your needs. Accounting, cybersecurity, data engineering, data science, decision and operation, financial, healthcare, marketing, social media, and enterprise systems, which is taught using SAP. You decide what you want to do. We have intakes in fall, spring, and summer, which is August, January, and May. It's a STEM designated program. So if your employer is looking for STEM skills, great, this is the program. If you're looking for extended work benefits as an international student, this program offers you that. So quickly, a recap, we are the largest in-person, face-to-face business analytics program in the country. Despite our size, our average salaries are high. And the $100,000 we see is generally with people with 0 to 2 or 3 years of experience is where these salaries are seen. The more experience you have, your salaries go up. We have partnerships with dozens of companies, and this doesn't mean that it's just on a high hello basis. These companies work with us on a lot of levels. They are judges in our classes, competitions, they're speakers in our classes, they're probably teaching a course with us. We are sitting with them on their company strategy, planning, or working on projects with them. They are hiring interns, they are hiring full-timers. There are a lot of stuff that we are doing with several of these companies. We are on each other's speed dial, so we make sure that that connect is there. Texas is ranked in the state of Texas. UT Dallas is ranked #1 in terms of the return on investment, and the business analytics program is really there on the top, because a lot of our students who take educational loans, and they probably get a loan that they can repay within 7 to 20 years. That loan is mostly repaid by our students within 2 to 3 years. And it's not like that they're living an uncomfortable life. They are doing very well. They are living comfortably. They're supporting their families, and they're paying off stuff. And that can only happen when you have, high salaries. And that's what people are getting out of the program. We'll post a link in the chat where we did a webinar on financial planning as to what are the different scenarios, financial profiles that a student can have. Somebody with scholarship, somebody with no support, but then everybody has a possibility of funding their education and getting a degree here because the return is extremely high. So we will post that link in the chat so that you all can watch that webinar. Again, from an internships perspective, this program requires an internship. So we see close to 600 of them that students do every year. Our students stay with us for about 1.5 to 2 years on an average. You can do this degree in 1 year as well, but that's the time. And in that, people end up doing multiple internships as well. We have seen that close to 65% of our students do multiple internships, which is good. We want our students to have more experience before they graduate from the program, on top of what they already bring in. But if you don't have any experience and you're coming into the program, not a problem. You will get a lot of it through the program and through the internships, co-ops that you do here. As I mentioned, it's a STEM designated program, but there are 3 flavors. The Flex program is the one that has all the 10 tracks, data science, data engineering, and all the others that I showed. And I'll show you the catalog page in a few minutes, just to show you the different courses so that you can put some names to your in front of you. But most of the classes are face-to-face. About 15% of them are online. This is a self-paced program, which means you decide how you want to do it. The quickest you can do this is 1 year. The longest that you can take for any program, for that matter, at UT Dallas, a master's program, is 6 years. Nobody takes 6 years, but I would say 1.5 to 2 years for full-time students. And then if you're a part-time student, that is that you're doing a job and then doing this program, I would say add another semester or 2. It's state funded, which means as the number of credits go up in a semester, the tuition per credit goes down. And after 12 credits, there is no additional tuition. So you can take up to 18 credits in a semester. Credit 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 would be free. That's the benefit of a state-funded program. We also have 2 other specialized programs, Cohort and the online program, that have 2 tracks each. Cohort takes care of the data science and accounting analytics. Again, the modality is mostly face-to-face classes. A few online are also offered, and then it's also self-paced. In fact, all our flavors are self-paced. But in the online program, 100% online program, and this is for domestic students only. Somebody wants to do this internationally, we don't issue you I-20s to come to the US for that. If you want to do that, then it'll be the Flex or Cohort. But in the online program, which mostly has students that are working professionals, we focus on the data science and data engineering tracks, 100% online, and it's, again, as I said, self-paced. GRE and GMAT waivers are available. Scholarship opportunities are also available. Let's move on to the next one to talk about them. So what are the application requirements? As I mentioned, that you will need to submit a GRE or GMAT in case you want a waiver. What you need to do is submit your application and then email jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu, the address that you see on your screen. Send it to them, tell them this is your application number, you would request a waiver. They take about 10 days. They will review your undergraduate transcripts and then make a determination whether they should give you a waiver or not. Transcripts, we are good with unofficial ones while you are applying because we will use them for the decision, but after that, we will ask you for your official transcripts as well. Your resume, letters of recommendation, and then your personal objective statement, which is an essay that, just talks about why you want to do this degree and how does it factor in your future plans. We don't offer any application fee waivers. We are a state institution, so we cannot offer that. However, once you're a student here and you're applying to multiple programs later on, and students do that, uh, any subsequent application fee will be waived off once you are a student at UTD. Scholarships, the deadline for fall 23 is May 1st, and then the one for spring 24, if you're applying for spring 24. Of course, the fall is done, but for spring, if you're a spring applicant, it's October 1st. The TA-ships are available, but they're not available for incoming students. You have to spend a semester at UT Dallas to be considered for a TA-ship. Now, when you are in your first semester, you can apply for a second semester TA-ship, but you don't get that as an incoming student. We don't want to be the only person giving you information because we have students who have done that. There are these LinkedIn stories, and just look for hashtag UTDMSBA if you have an account on LinkedIn. If you don't have it and you become a student with us, you will definitely have a very impressive LinkedIn profile because that's one of the things that we stress upon a lot. But hashtag UTDMSBA is what I would want you to search for, and you will see tons of stories about internships, about events, about whatever people are doing that will tell you what experience students have being in the program. These are first-hand experiences, unmoderated. So it's a good way for you to see what people are doing. I mean, for example, if you want to work for a company, intern for a company, and there is already somebody from the program that has worked there, this is a good way for you to see, what it took for them to be in that company, and then what did the work look like. It's like a little like a sneak peek for you. UT Dallas has more than 450 student organizations, and we have about 70 of them in the School of Management. These are some of them that has MSBA students as their officers, leaders, members. The SAP Users Group, Salesforce, Project Management Club, Women in Technology, Toastmasters, Marketing Analytics Club, Intelligence Analytics Society, Envision, Counting Analytics, Cybersecurity are some of the organizations. Other benefits of being at UT Dallas, one is that you all can apply for bonus certificate programs. What these certificate programs do is they're carved out of our degree programs. So they might have 3 to 4 courses in them. If you take those courses and you have an average GPA of 3.0 in those courses, you get this additional certificate. Based on your residency, it can be worth anywhere between $14,000 to $20,000. And you get it for free by just taking those courses. So your credits will count towards your degree and your certificate, and you don't have to pay the tuition twice. So this is a great way for you to extend the value of money that you're paying, that instead of just one degree, you're getting 2 diplomas, 1 degree and then 1 graduate certificate. Our contact details, we love your emails. Keep sending them to us. A lot of you are already in touch with us, but if you're not, this is the way. We try to make sure that we respond to your emails as soon as possible so that you have the right information quickly at your fingertips to make the decision that you need to make. But at this point, what I'll do is I'll quickly jump into just the catalog to probably show you what these courses look like. Something timed out. Let's see. Okay, there you go. So as I was talking about the courses, some of the things that any organization will always ask you to answer is 4 questions. What happened Advanced statistics will cover that. What will happen? Predictive analytics will cover that. What do you recommend? Prescriptive will cover that. And does it make economic sense? Applied econometrics helps with that. How do I store and provision my data? Databases helps with that. And then how do you model them? Is BA with SAS, R, and we have another flavor called modeling for business analytics. They help you in terms of modeling your data. But then looking at the different tracks, we have at least 8 to 10 courses per track. You want to go deep into any of the tracks, you can do that. 6 courses is what you can take. And people generally take courses from 2 or 3 different tracks because they want to diversify as much as they can. But if you're focused on one of them, not a problem. You can take courses from one single track. But data engineering, data science that you see on your screen right now are some of our popular ones. People a lot of them end up taking courses like machine learning, natural language processing, big data, you know, uh, deep learning, RPA, causal analytics. There are AWS analytics related courses. There are SAP analytics related courses, data warehousing. Somebody muted me. Might not work out. Okay. All right. So just wanted to show you a bit of this, but what I'll do is I will jump into your questions right now. Let's see, what do we have here? Please go ahead and put your questions in. Okay, so we had a question about the spring scholarships that's been answered. It'll open in early September, but keep an eye on our portal. Sometimes, we try to open it early as well. But just one of the things that you have to make sure is it's not just your application by the deadline, which is October 1st. We also need your GRE or GMAT scores to reach us from that time. Does AI and AI tools have effects on data and analytics jobs in the future, like 10 years from now? Absolutely, it will have. Any new advancement in technology will have an effect. But remember, when new technology comes, the nature of the job also changes. A lot of times people say that AI is going to take away all the jobs. That's not possible. It is not going to be like that. It's like, several years ago when the calculator came out, people said accountants will lose their jobs. The calculator was a tool. AI is also a tool. AI will help you in better decision making. AI will help you in making decisions for larger sets of data in a smaller amount of time. AI will help you with your productivity. AI will help you with what's already happened. We have to remember that AI is as good as what has happened. AI cannot think of newer things the same way as you do. Maybe in the future that's possible, but right now it's all dependent on the information that's fed in them. The difference between human beings and AI is, of course, the capacity. What you can do in a stipulated amount of time versus what AI can do. But they will always be a tool. One way to stay ahead of it and stay relevant is by upskilling yourself. Right now, who is creating this AI? People like you. Who is using this AI as super users is people like you. So it is going to change the job market, and it is going to definitely change things. The best way to think about it is we're in 2023. Think about where 2013 was. What were you doing in 2013? And not just professionally, but personally, what your life was. Were you this data centric? Did you have a lot of devices that could be connected to the internet and you could communicate with them through that? How was your experience with things like social media or communication mediums? So things do change. And I think staying on top of these changes is the best thing to do, because you don't want to be somebody who's playing catch up. One of the things we tell our students is read newsletters, read newspapers, read articles, thought articles. Sometimes this is good enough for you to keep your mind rich with what's going on. And then if there is a particular area that interests you, which you want to learn deeper into, then you get into that. For example, my students, a lot of them, they want to learn about machine learning, for example. Okay, we do have a course around it, but is that course everything that they should be doing? Not really. That course helps them be on the path to learn more about machine learning, but there is 10 other things that they have to do. That includes meeting people who are in the same area and see what they're doing in their organizations around it. We do at networking events where people discuss this kind of stuff. They do that kind of stuff, and just those discussions help a lot. So keeping yourself relevant with what's happening is, I think, the bare minimum you can do. And then if there is something that interests you, just jump on it. See, we are not going to be less digital. We're going to be more digital. There will be more tools. Who knows? There is different kind of AI that's out there. I mean, I'm just going by some data points that, sometimes these proof of concepts, they are created in a research facility. And who picks up on them? Sometimes movies. When they when they shoot movies, that storyline talks about a technology like that. And then next you see 10 years later, that's a reality. So keep yourself abreast with that news. All right. A very long answer for a very short question, but no, that's a very good question and very relevant one as well. Okay, I already got my late arrival letter, and my question is, if I come after the... So here is the thing. The late arrival letter doesn't guarantee that you will be given entry into the US. It is all the discretion of the officer at the port of entry. If you're getting very late, then I would recommend that you defer. So when you say after the stipulated date, I gave you letters for up to 7 days. If it's a day later, you can take a chance. What we have seen is generally they do allow, but don't quote me on this because we don't have, we can never say with certainty that they will not stop you at the port of entry because it's after this classes. So we issue that warning, but at the same time, historically, what we have seen is that if it is within that week or a few days after that, they do allow students in. Can you please explain what is state funded? Absolutely. So state funded program means, say we are a public university. So our tuition is determined by what the state of Texas really thinks what should be the tuition. One of the things is state funded comes with a lot of benefits. Like if you increase the number of credits, let's say somebody's taking 6 credits and somebody's taking 9 credits. The per hour credit rate will be lesser for the person who's taking 9 credits. So as you go up in your credits in a semester, your per credit hour rate goes down. That's one benefit. The other is if you get a TA-ship, let's say, you are considered a state employee, you do get in-state tuition benefit for that semester, which if you're not a Texas resident, you will not have it. That's one of the benefit. The other thing is if you get a Dean's Excellence Scholarship and it says that you will get in-state waiver, then being in a state-funded program, your tuition, if you're an out-of-state resident or international student, you will be paying in-state tuition. So the benefits of a state-funded program is mostly around your tuition and how your tuition is structured. Okay, I got the admission for fall 23. I got it shifted to fall 24 and also accepted in the city. Could you please let me know when the scholarship for fall 24 will start? So this will start close to, you can apply around November, December. That's when late November to early December is when they open it up. Okay, the deadline for it would be May 1st of 2024, but don't go by that deadline because if you are very close to that deadline, there is a possibility that you will not get the scholarship because, we give it out on rolling basis and it depends on how many funds are left around May 1st to give out. So as soon as possible, give away, put your application in so that you're able to, uh, get a scholarship, a better chance at getting a scholarship. Do students with TS get tuition remission? Well, again, if you become a TA, you get $1,000 as salary after taxes. Your health insurance for that semester is paid. And for the long semester, the health insurance is about $1,400 for that semester. And then you also get in-state tuition benefit, which means if you're an international student or out-of-state resident, a non-Texas resident, your tuition is literally halved. Moving on. Hello, I have received an admission offer for spring term. The offer states that I'm required to take the professional development course. Could you please provide more input? Absolutely. So this was a course that we introduced a few years ago based on the feedback from our students in terms of what they need to learn about getting a job in the US. The whole landscape of jobs is very different in the US. So this particular class is around, what are the things that you need to do professionally to make sure that you are able to apply for jobs well. What are the good tech tips and techniques? How do you go about interviewing? How do you go about networking? How do you go about, crafting your resume, your LinkedIn, interview tips? So things that will help you in becoming more aware of how you can go for jobs in the US is what this course is all about. Now, if you're already working in the US, well, you can get a waiver. But mostly for example, our international students who have had no experience in the US, they are required to take this. But people with at least 2 years of experience in the US, or if you've been in one of our undergraduate programs where we already covered all of this, or you are in an MBA program, we waive it off. But 95% plus of our students end up taking this course. And it's an 8-week course. They pack a lot of stuff that helps you with your job search, with your internship search, with your, just putting your brand out there so that people know who you are. Okay, what do we have? Um, if I'm currently reviewing credit for an internship, can I submit a waiver? You can. Uh, if you are, if you're currently receiving credit for an internship, Angela, you might be in a different program. Oh, you are an MBA student as well. Okay, so MBA students have you have a different course that you have to take, and that's one of the criterias that you can use to get a waiver. In fact, we have a waiver form for that. We'll put that link in the chat. The criteria is listed there. If you meet any of the criteria, just submit it and you'll get a waiver. But since you're pursuing an internship, that might already been given to you if you're an MBA student. And we do have that because MBA students end up taking other courses that might help fulfill this requirement. Okay, we still have about 21 minutes, folks. We cannot be at the end of our questions. Okay, good. We have a few more there. So we have approximately 4 months left before the course begins. During this period, could you specify software prerequisites? Very good question. So as you start this program, one of the things you will see is whether, and I'm talking about the technical side of the program, R is something that we use for stats. We also use Python for some of our courses around data science, machine learning, all that kind of stuff. I would say if you want to start off, basics of these two languages, R and Python, would be a great way to get yourself kickstarted. The other thing you can do is uh, pick up any database. Have the ability to write some queries. There are a lot of free resources for all three of them, so you don't have to buy any course. If you just want to get acquainted with what the syntax looks like, what the feel is, in terms of programming in these areas, you can use it. If you are done with these and you want to add something more, maybe something in the lines of data visualization could be a good one to have there. But I think between these three languages and a database tool, you should be good. We also do some preliminary stats, pre-arrival videos. We send them to you. And at the same time, we also do boot camps at the beginning of a few weeks before the beginning of the semester to just make sure that you are able to get some head start into the semester. At the same time, there is a new concept of study halls that we are introducing this semester, where students in groups will be allowed to go out and maybe huddle together to study concepts, especially around stats. So we are starting with stats, but we'll be adding some more courses as we go along. But there are resources of this sort that is available. But to your point, I think R, Python, and SQL are the three things that I would say you should start with. That'll give you a good, comfortable head start into the semester, into the program, in fact. Is it possible to take electives that are not part of the MSBA curriculum? Absolutely, you can. You can take up to 6 credits that are not part of the MSBA catalog, and you can take those 6 credits from any program in the school. Of course, do run it by us to make sure that that credit counts, but 99% of our courses which are outside of our catalog will count for those 6 credits. Even if it is outside of the school, let's say you say, I want to do something from computer science or School of Mathematics or whatever fancies you, do send it to us. There are cases in which we approve them as well. Now, if those courses outside of the school or even within the school, they have prerequisites, you'll have to take care of them. But the simple answer is yes, up to 6 credits, which is 1/6 of your degree, you can take it outside of the MSBA curriculum. Do we get a chance to apply for scholarships for second sem if you didn't apply for the first time? So if you are a continuing student, you can only apply in the fall semester. So now whether that is your second semester or that is your third semester, depends on when you started. But you should have completed 12 credits in the previous, by the end of the previous spring semester. So let's say you're going for a fall 24 scholarship, you should have at least completed 12 credits by end of spring 24. And then that makes you eligible. There are reports indicating that the United States is on the brink of a recession. How might this economic situation potentially impact us after we graduate? Nikhil, that's a valid concern. And there are agencies that are talking about, recession. The recession is something that is always a topic. There is no time when we were anyway out of recession. It's a pendulum, right? It swings between there being a slowdown and then it picks up again and then there is a slowdown. This is an economic process. Okay. So as far as being concerned about this whole situation is, yes, you should be concerned, but at the same time, based on my discussion with some of the technology leaders who are out here, who are leading big companies, that have billions of dollars of revenue, this is not something that is going to stay too long. It always is a period where it doesn't stop. Jobs don't stop. Technically the last big recession was 2008. Okay, and hopefully we don't see anything of that sort. But after that, these periods of lull have always been there because it's like, to reset the health of the economy, there are periods of lull, and that's what people go through. But the US economy has always been the strongest in the world, and it will continue to be that way. This was my conversation just a week ago, where we talked about, not even week, so we are on Friday, Monday only, I was talking to the president of a $4 billion company out there. I won't name it, but their president, who was talking about this lull that we have. He said that, based on a lot of data points, they don't feel that this will continue for too long. In fact, in the next couple of months, they will see the economy picking up again. There are a lot of factors there, and here is the thing: people with skills, people with the right skills and the right ability to go out and find a job are getting jobs. I mean, again, when we look at our students, on a weekly basis, there are scores of internships that we are approving. That means people are getting jobs. When we boil down to why sometimes people don't get it, some of the common factors is, number one, they have not used all the resources available in terms of, if you're just sitting at home and applying online, that's not a good technique. There's too much traffic online. You have to do things which are outside of just online applications. Very rarely, people who don't get jobs very rarely go to networking events. Networking events are very crucial here. Okay. The third thing is, not really putting the best foot out. So for example, there is absolutely zero communication to the right people out there in the industry who can help with these jobs. So if you're just sitting back and only relying on the online applications, that's not a very good technique. At the same time, we have students who have been persistent, who have made sure that they were doing the right things. They were networking with people, they were attending events, and they got those jobs. I mean, it may have taken time for them, but they every time they were doing something, they were building themselves up for success. They were setting themselves up for success. To be honest, there are people who don't get jobs in a very good market, and there are people who get jobs in a very bad. So all this noise about recession and why somebody's not getting a job, it's subjective to person. It varies from people to people. So if you're somebody who's going to put all the effort in, there is a very, very high possibility that you will get the job that you're looking for. And that has always been the case. To be honest, in my experience in the last 7 years here, there was only 1 month where people had challenges with jobs. And that was the month, the 30 days after WHO declared COVID-19 as a pandemic. Everybody stopped hiring for that 1 month because people were trying to see how their future looks like, how they will pivot. And the focus at that point of time was their own employees at that point of time. So they didn't want to really get people in, new people. But after a month, that all went away. And we could see that people were getting jobs again. It was trickling down, but it was a steady trickle. Okay. That is we are at the end here. Are there the other questions? I do see a hand up. And oh, not my hand up, but Sharam, your hand is up. Do you want to say something?
Yes, hello to everybody, and thanks for your nice explanation about the course. Do you have my voice?
Yes, we can hear you.
Would you please explain a bit more about the tuition fees and living costs in your town
Absolutely.
as international students? I'm from Asia.
Absolutely. And other than just my explanation, there is also a link that we shared in the chat, which is
Unfortunately, the chat is not active for me.
okay. Not a problem. That's okay.
Thanks, man.
But do look for the Naveen Jindal School of Management on YouTube, our channel, and we have that financial planning webinar there. The thumbnail says it is possible, so that's how you can search it. But I'll talk about the cost. So the cost can vary between 40 to, this is tuition, depending on whether you have scholarships, TAships, or you have any other support. The cost of tuition can vary between $40,000 to $65,000. Okay, that's on an average what I've seen. On top of it, if you're thinking about your living expenses, I would say anywhere between, see again, living expenses are lifestyle expenses. Depending on your lifestyle, you will have that. But I would say $800 to $1,000, $1,100 is what we are seeing right now on an average. That covers your rent, your utilities, any spending money that you need, etc. You can you reduce that? You can. I mean, again, that depends on what kind of living arrangement you have, what kind of expenses you have. But typically, your rent and your utilities will cost you close to $500-600 easily. Again, when you're sharing accommodation with people, you're living in an apartment that is shared with whatever the number of people are. So let's say for our calculation purposes, $1,000 a month is what you need for that. And you're spending about 2 years here, which is 1.5 to 2 years, so 17 to 22 months. You're looking at, let's say, $25,000 there. So tuition, living expenses, and then your medical insurance is going to be about $1,400. You can always get insurance from some other place, but if it has the same coverage, you can request UTD to waive the insurance, and they will. We don't recommend waiving off that insurance because what UTD has, the plan is a very premium plan. And the network, the coverage, and all that it gives you is great. Again, not something that we want you to be using, because we want you to be healthy. So there is no use of your health insurance. But in case you have to resort to using your health insurance, you should have something that gives you good coverage. That's that's the third one. There will be some ancillary expenses like uh, as an international student, $150 a semester is what they charge you. On top of it, for your books and your other stuff, I would say just keep aside $1,500 to $2,000. To be honest, a lot of times you will not be needing that because books and stuff that you are given here, our instructors have ways through which they can help you reduce costs, because they'll provide you slides, they will provide you PDFs that are officially licensed for the class. But even if you have to buy a book on all, it will not go beyond a couple $1,000. So just keep that aside. Uh, for your planning purposes, what I would say is always look for the higher end. So the higher end is, if I have no support, how much money would I need? And that number will swing between $80,000 to $85,000. Now, when you get an internship, that helps you with the costs. If you get a scholarship, that helps you with the costs. If you get a TA ship, that helps you with the costs. But for your planning purposes, always think of a big number. Now, our students are able to get unsecured loans, which are given in USD from a lot of different providers who are out there, like GradRight, Prodigy Finance, Avance, Empower. There are some of these companies from which our students have taken loans in the past. Depending on whatever fits the terms and conditions that they have, everybody has a different appetite. But the good thing is that there are ways for you to fund yourself, and that's what we want you to know, because a lot of times people feel that these high costs are so high that you cannot really do anything about that. The good news is there are ways to do it, but my sincere advice to you all, when you're planning, plan for the worst. There's a saying, uh, plan for the worst, hope for the best. So as you get your internship, jobs, TA-ship, scholarship, if you get them, that will help you with your costs for sure. But don't just come here thinking, oh, and there are on-campus opportunities as well. You can be an on-campus student worker from day one, but when you plan, don't say, oh, I will get all of these when I get there. That really hurts your planning, because then you are now looking at a number. The minute that number is not, uh, you know, your need goes beyond that number, that puts you in a very difficult state. So let's plan well. Let's plan
Thanks a
better.
lot. Thanks a lot. And you say the big number is at maximum is
I would say about $85,000. That
85.
includes
Thanks.
everything, your living
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
expenses, your tuition. Okay, going back to my chat here again. What are the specific criteria for selecting recipients of scholarships or teaching assignments? I initially received my admission for fall 23, but I deferred it to spring 24 during the interim period. I enrolled in data analytics and data science course, and I also am doing an internship as a software developer, SDE. See, again, for scholarships, I'll start with that. For scholarships, our committee looks at a lot of things. What are the academic achievements? So your undergraduate score, your GPA, your GRE or GMAT. And by the way, for your scholarships, you are required to submit an official GRE GMAT before the committee can evaluate you. We look at that. We look at your resume. We look at your achievements, and then we make a determination that we would want to give you a scholarship or not. A lot of it is scholastic because it's a scholarly uh, uh, thing. The scholarship is based on your academic achievements. So definitely a lot of focus is on your undergraduate performance, as well as whatever standardized tests, GRE or GMAT, that you wrote. But on top of that, we also look at your profile as to what you have done that really will help us in making a better judgment of your ability to get a scholarship. That's for an incoming student. For a continuing student, the same scholarship criteria can differ a little bit, because now we have a lot of donor scholarships that have very set needs in their criteria. So we look at all those needs. You have to meet all of those needs for a specific scholarship before you get that. But what we do is we evaluate your profile against multiple different scholarships and see if there is something where you really fit very well to give you that scholarship. So as a continuing student, your options, they increase. Now, TA-ships at the same time are given on the basis of it's a job. It's not a scholarly award. It is more like we have a need in a certain area, a certain course where we want you to assist. And what happens there is we look at how you have done in that class, where do you stand in terms of your scores and all. And just your academic ability is not enough. You have to be somebody who can take care of 150 to 200 students on top of taking your own at least 3 courses. Are you somebody who will not bog down under pressure, but at the same time will be able to do this job very well because you're kind of shadowing the instructor on a lot of occasions? So all that put into one, we make a decision as to whether you are the right TA or not. What is a TA-ship and when and how can we apply for it? So TA-ship is it's a it's a job where you assist a professor in terms of them, teaching their course. You don't teach the course, but any prep that is required for that course in terms of putting materials on the e-learning or any grading that needs to be done, any kind of student queries that may need to be answered, or any supplemental work that you're doing with the instructor to make sure that that course is delivered. Grading, as I said, is another very important component. All that assistance that you give to an instructor on a weekly basis is what this TA-ship is all about. TAs, teaching assistants, are state employees. So if you are an out-of-state student or an international student, you get the in-state tuition benefit, which reduces your tuition by 50%. You also get health insurance paid by the university, which is about $1,400, and then $1,000 after taxes that you get, about $1,000. All right. With that, I think we are at the end of our questions here. Oh, we do have another one. There's a possibility to update my profile and resume? There have been significant changes since March. Well, if you apply for a spring, since you are deferring, when you defer, just, you know, send your updated resume. What you can also do is in your admissions folder, you can send it to the admission team, your document, or try to upload it yourself to Orion. Just upload an updated copy of your resume. And if you're not able to do it, just send it to admission@utdallas.edu and they will update it. So you can do that. Absolutely. All right. So with that, folks, we will be. Oh, there is a question. Yes, go ahead.
So, confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Please, I really want to find out what's the next semester if I'm to defer from fall. Thank you.
Okay. So if you're deferring, you can defer up to a year. You can defer once, up to a year. The next possible semester would be spring of 2024.
And that will be May, right?
No, that will be January. So it'll start from second or third week of January.
Okay,
Yeah, but
that will
that's
be fun.
the next possible one. But
All
you
right.
can defer all the way up to fall of 24. You can defer once, whether you defer to spring or you defer to fall, that you'll have to decide. But if you're looking for the next possible this day possible start after fall of 23, that is spring of 24.
That would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, folks. We are at the top of the hour here. Great talking to you all. And thank you so much for your questions. Very thought out questions. I hope this was informative. We will put this on the YouTube channel of our school, the Naveen Jindal School of Management. Just search for us on YouTube and you'll find all these recordings there. But don't shy away from sending us an email or asking your questions. Oh, I need to send you another thing. We do have a Telegram channel. If you are on Telegram, if you're not, just join it. But I'm going to put the link here. This is a great way for you to ask questions because there are other students as well who are either current students or they are incoming students. A lot of them a year ago who were incoming students are now our current students, and they're all on that channel. So it's a great place. A lot of questions are asked there, and we tend to answer them much quicker. But emails, Telegram, or sessions like this, whatever helps you. or even calling us. Call us. If you're not able to pick up the phone, leave a voicemail and we'll make sure that we return your call. But it's always exciting to talk to you. And I can tell you that if you decide to come to UT Dallas, it is going to be one of the best decisions you would have taken. I did that as a international student several years ago myself. Until date, it still continues to be the best decision that I took. So all power to you. We are here to answer your questions, and we will make sure that you have every piece of information and comfort to make that transition into UT Dallas. But on that note, have a great weekend. And if you're coming in fall 23, we look forward to seeing you. If you are going to apply to UTD, we still look forward to see you uh, in a semester very close to us. So have a good one, guys, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.